going Overpowered viewers? You're watching a double KEM strike on the map Freight by OP Melted, and he adds a little bit of flavor to the gameplay and the fact that he swaps weapons after each and every kill. So be sure to go check out his channel. He's around 400 subscribers strong, and he'd really enjoy your support. And speaking of support, just a friendly reminder, if you guys do enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like rating, as it really does help us out as a whole. Now, if you did not already know, my name is That Kansas Kid. I'm one of the commentators here at the Overpowered channel, and we're going to be dissecting a debate that has been going on for ages in the Call of Duty community. Should Call of Duty or any other game be considered a quote-unquote sport when playing competitively? Now, I know that MLG has emerged in the past couple of years. However, I really do want to dive deep into this topic, as Call of Duty was played at the X Games, which is a major sporting event held each year. Now, I never dreamed of this day coming, Call of Duty being played on ESPN. That's something that I don't think anyone ever saw coming. But now the debate does arise again, should Call of Duty be considered a sport? But in order to do this, we need to find the definition of a sport. Now, this is from dictionary.com. The definition of a sport is an athletic activity requiring skill or physical prowess, and often of a competitive nature. Now, I see two major categories Call of Duty would need to fill in order for it to be considered a sport. One of them being competition. Is there a winner? Is there a loser? How do you score points? Just stuff like that. And I do see Call of Duty falling under that category. However, it does not fall under the category of being athletic. There is no athletics involved in Call of Duty. And just to dive deeper, just to prove to you guys that it's not athletic, here is the definition of athletic: physically active and strong. Do you think sitting on your butt all day twiddling your thumbs while playing Call of Duty is making you physically active? I'm just going to let your common sense answer that question for you. But by definition, this cannot be considered a sport. I know that they have adopted the term esport, and they've been using that for many years now, but it still has bothered me because it has the word sport in it. What should it actually be called? E-competition, game competition, e-comp, game comp? I don't know. Give me some ideas, people. But I think they have the word sport in it because it does have a flashier look. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't take skill to play. There are two different types of competitions. Video games are more of a mental competition, where sports are more physical and mental. In video games like Call of Duty, you need to focus on team strategies, map knowledge, who has better reflexes, and who has better aim. In sports, you need to focus on similar topics. Team strategies on how you're going to beat the other team, scoping out weaknesses and advantages that you have, and most importantly, figure out how you're going to win. The only difference is that you're actually performing it physically and not just performing it on a virtual interface. And just because sports are mentally and physically draining doesn't mean that it's more tough than video games. Now, this debate is up in the air, and I'm not even going to dip my shoes into it because it's irrelevant. Everyone has their strong and weak points. Some people are better at working out strategies physically, and some people are better with strats virtually. It's like putting a controller in the hands of Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone and telling them to pull off a 30-0 flawless free-for-all. That's just not going to happen. Now, instead, if you put a football in their hands and go tell them to score a touchdown, they'll probably do so. Although this analogy may not make too much sense just because they're bodybuilders, I think you guys see the point I'm making here. Well, that's really all the stuff I had in my argument for today, but I know that one of you guys in the comment section are going to have this exact counterclaim. You're going to argue that words have changed meaning throughout the history of time. It's shocking to see how words have changed definitions as our society progressed. Did you guys know that bully used to mean darling back in the 16th century, and now, ironically, it's used to describe someone who's mean or harsh to someone else? And also, here's a more well-known one. Gay used to mean happy, and now it's used to describe someone who's homosexual. There's many other examples I could give you, and you could just Google it if you want. But just those two things just prove that words have changed over time. Me being the Kansas conservative I am, I'd probably be pissed off if sport were one of these words that changed over time. Because if you either took out the aspect of competition or athleticism, then I'd actually hate sports. Now, here's the reality of things, people. First off, the reality that they're going to change the name esports is very slim. I don't see it happening. It's just another slang word in today's society, and it's just something that athletes like me need to get over. Yes, they are two separate things, but the reality of it changing, very little, not gonna ever happen. And here's another reality check. The possibility that the word sport will change meaning over time, little to none either. It's too specific and too categorized for it to even change meaning over time. It's like trying to change the word biology over time. It's very specific and it has its own niche. Sport is definitely a much shorter word, but it definitely does have its niche. Now, hopefully I cleared off some mud, fog, or whatever the heck is on your windshield in today's commentary, and hopefully you learned something about it. I did lots of research. I never knew that bully meant that, but you know what? Who really cares? Lots of time and effort was put in this. I really went balls deep on this commentary, just like Melted is right now, going balls deep on Freight. Probably the best location to pick up lots of kills and pick up a double KEM strike especially. on Freight, and just him swapping weapons and everything, I couldn't do that. There he goes. He picks up his second KEM strike, and he decides to call it in. And I believe they do end up winning the game, in case you guys are wondering. And I'm also going to be showing the KEM strikes just because I think they're freaking awesome. And I love explosions, and I didn't have any explosions in my last Freight commentary here on OP, so why not? Go subscribe to Melted, guys. He definitely deserves your subscription. And also subscribe to me if you enjoyed today's commentary. I don't post good gameplay like this, but you know what? I post some pretty good commentaries in my opinion. Well, it's been that Kansas Kid, and I'm out with a...